Hi, group number ones. Welcome to this week's reading. This week, our reading is all about past lives. Yay! So, we're basically going to look into your soul's past and your guides or your past self or your future self even is going to tell us all about one of your past lives and what we need to learn from the life that you have lived in previously. So the card that we got was this one. There we go. This is your card, and this was the stone that brought you in today. Giving me very tangled vibes. Girl with a stone wall, drinking tea, looking out on a lake with lights. And the number 8 shows up here too, if that's important to anybody. Yeah, so that's what drew you in. Just from this card, I'm feeling that your past life was very sheltered. Very like looking over the garden gate and hoping to see something coming for you that was unexpected, because your life was very, very expected, very planned out for you. And you're always hoping for something more, something better, something in the distance. So yeah, that's what I'm getting from this first initial card. But we will see as we go through all of these cards. There are 11 cards in this spread. So let's get started. So this first card up here, this card talks about who are you? Oh, this is my Wildwood Tarot, by the way. I picked this one because it has very ancient energy to it. So, yeah, thought it was appropriate. So the card here in Who Are You? We have the 10 of Vessels. Happiness. Aww. That's you, so sweet, you guys. The 10 of Vessels is, of course, the 10 of Cups. And happiness, it's talking about how your soul is a very sweet one. You're a very look on the bright side of life type person. Yeah, and if again, giving me very Tangled vibes, how no matter what, she saw the best in people, she saw the best in everything, like even in her castle and wishing for more, she was still such a bright light to that space. And once she got out of that space, she was a bright light to everybody she met. Even the weird people in the creepy bar she ends up in one of the scenes. Anyway, yeah, you're just somebody who is glowing with happiness. You're a bright light to people. So, moving on, the next card we have, this is, what was your identity? Originally in this spread, this card was supposed to represent your gender, and gender is a spectrum, so I didn't really like to like throw that in here. So, we're just calling it identity. So, what is your identity? And we have the 3 of Stones, creativity. Ooh. Love this. You are very much your own person. This is the 3 of Pentacles. In this deck, it represents creativity, but it also represents working together with people as a collaborator. So yeah, your identity, who you are, is happy. You're just a bright, shining, happy light to everybody. But how you identified was as a creative, as a creator, as somebody who built things, and whether that was just in your head or out in the world, you're somebody who built stuff, who really showed creative, who explored creative pursuits, who really tried to put beauty out into the world. Even if you weren't necessarily out in the world, you tried to create things. So Yeah, so the next piece we have is childhood. So this card represents your childhood, and we have the seer. Ooh. So this is the high priestess of this deck, the seer. I'm really seeing as part of your childhood, you were a child in this past life that saw like ghosts and stuff. Like you saw the future, you saw ghosts, you were a very like in tune child. You were one of those like kind of sort of creepy kids that would like say a thing and then it would happen like a month later. Like it's just like a you were just a very in tune child, and you weren't held back by the borders of this realm, I guess is what I want to say. Your child's creativity and imagination were wild, and it really enabled you to connect with the deep spiritual hidden parts of the world that might have been more apparent during whatever time period you existed in. So that card represents your childhood. The next card we have is what your relationships were like. So this card represents relationships, and we have the blasted oak. This is the tower card of this deck. Woo! So yeah, your relationships were real rocky in this lifetime. It was very tumultuous. Whether it was like you didn't get along with people or people didn't get or understand you, there was some kind of like you could never find your footing with people. You had a hard time understanding and coping with people. People were not your forte. You were much better with the spiritual realms, with the creative realms, than actually working with other people. This kind of gives me like you were a solitary maybe writer or painter type vibe. So that's relationships. Next is family. This represents your family, and we have the Two of Arrows, injustice. Ooh. This is the Two of Swords in this deck. Injustice. Yeah, the card meanings in this deck are a little different than what you would expect. But I'm really seeing in this space of family, and with the label injustice for the Two of Arrows, I'm really seeing that like your family was not the brightest spot in your life. They didn't understand you. They were given to you as a challenge as opposed to nurturing, helpful type family. It was unjust to you to have them as your family. Again, giving me this very like Mother Gothel type vibe of like, I'm gonna keep you inside because you're weird. Yeah, family was not an area that you excelled in either. People and family, you did not quite get along with these things. Okay, the next card we have is social status. What was your social status? And we have the Page of Bows. This is the Page of Wands. This is a stout or stoat. I don't know how you say it, but they're basically like a little weasel that used to live in England. I don't know if they do anymore. I would imagine they do. But they're super cute. So I see this as your social status is you are the prodigy of a great line of some kind. But again, you're the over-enthusiastic weirdo of the family. Like, the family doesn't quite understand you. You're a bit loud, you're a bit outspoken, you're a bit fiery, but you are the descendant of a great line, so you had status, although maybe being the black sheep of the family, you probably didn't get like the inheritance or anything, but you did have some social standing of some type. All right, the next card, this is the obstacles faced in this lifetime. And we have, ooh, the pole star. The pole star. I love this. So this is the star card of this deck, clearly. So I think the obstacles of this life were you discovering that you are awesome. Like, every person in your life told you that you were weird and that you were out of place in the world that you were in. And the obstacle in this life was to find yourself beautiful. Like, no matter what anybody else said, you were the whole point of the obstacle was to see yourself as beautiful. To see yourself as a bright shining light and not the darkness around the star. So, the next card we have, this one represents your occupation. What did you do? So we have, ooh, 6 of stones. Ooh, interesting. It says exploitation. 6 of stones. This is the 6 of pentacles. And normally this card is about generosity, but in this particular deck, it talks about, as the card says, exploitation. So, being that we've already kind of had an idea that you were somebody who had higher standing, maybe your family made money off of being like landlord owners or owners of slaves, or like having wealth by building on the backs of other people, whether that's owners of factories or landowners or just royalty in general. Your occupation was one of subsisting on the deeds of others, which is a bit of a bummer, but you know, it's a big part of our past and our present, if I'm honest. I also think, seeing this card from your point of view, I think that you were also exploited by your family and things like that. Like, if you, let's say, if this past life was that you were a creator and a writer and a solitary one at that, and shunned by your family, maybe your works were discovered later and then made a huge profit for the family that saw you as nothing. Or maybe that family made money off of your work and then never told you about it, or never shared it with you specifically because you were the black sheep. So those are a couple options. The next card we have, this talks about your death. How did you die? So the card we have is, ooh, the King of Arrows. Kingfisher. King of Arrows. This is the King of Swords. The King of Swords is normally the oldest king, because he represents wisdom, really the most out of all of the kings, because he is the king of thought, after all. So I'm thinking you died of old age. At least that's what this card is giving me. You died of old age. You were able to live out your days and die by disease or whatever was the going death at the time that you died. You were able to live out a complete life, whether it was very long or not, depending on the time period that you existed in. You lived to the fullest that that time had to offer, if that makes sense. Okay, last 2 cards, here we go. So the next card, this is the card about the lessons learned from this lifetime. So we have the 3 of Bows, fulfillment. Ooh, I love this. This is the 3 of Wands. Fulfillment. Oh, this is great, you guys. So the lesson that you learned in this past life was like to find fulfillment in self, to not rely on others to find your fulfillment. This card also talks a bit about balance, because it has the 2 opposing dragons here, opposing serpents, whatever. Yeah, this life was to learn to find fulfillment in self and not rely on other people's opinions or even other people's money or status or rules. This life was for you to learn independence and fulfillment in self. So this last card, this is how can this past life help you today? And we have, ooh, the Ace of Arrows, breath of life. This is the Ace of Swords, new ideas, new thinking, new ways of thinking, new direction. With the breath of life here, I'm seeing this past life, how it helps you now is that it points you in a new direction. It points you in a new way of thinking and a new way of understanding. It probably taught you what marginalized people feel every day. It also taught you how to better understand yourself and feel about yourself, how to lead your own path, strike out on your own, carve a new direction for yourself. That's how it can help you in this life. So, to sum up, we're going to sum up everything I saw here. So, this past life, you were some type of creator. You were a weirdo, you loved life, but you did not have blessed relationships. You never really found love or family. You were kind of a lone wolf, and that was weird for the time period that you were in. You also had a good bit of money. You were someone of status, so you were able to pursue your weird habits on your own, but you were always on your own. You died of old age, and this life really taught you to rely on yourself and to understand that being alone is not the worst thing, especially if it enables you to be yourself, to dream outside of everybody else's box, because everybody else's box is a bit oppressive for somebody like you. So yeah, if I had to guess what time period this past life was in, it wouldn't be any time before the 1800s. It had to be way back, when, maybe not way back, but at least back during the age of the American Revolutionary War or before, like that, like older. I'm really seeing, my brain is really seeing like Bridgerton era. I don't know if that's because I've been really obsessed with that era recently, but like, yeah, Bridgerton era when women were really oppressed and hidden, and writers and creators who were women had to do so under fake names and talk about gossip because that's all women were allowed. You know, that kind of oppressive culture, whether you were a woman or another marginalized group of some kind, like, it doesn't matter. But it was definitely before modern times, I would say. That's my best guess, honestly. Yeah. This is a really interesting past life. It's definitely one of solitude, but self-discovery and like adventure of the mind, as opposed to adventure of exploration, because it clearly was not allowed to you to explore outside of your little bubble, but you were able to explore with your mind the great unknown, which is pretty cool. So the last thing I'm going to do for you guys is I am going to pull you an oracle card from this deck is called Celestial Frequencies. It's a really cool deck. I'm really obsessed with this artist's 2 decks that she has. It's, as always, it will be linked down in my description, but it's a super awesome deck. Anyway, I'm going to shuffle this deck for you, and we're going to get one final message about this past life. This deck in particular is really good about pointing out new direction and growth. So he will do a very good job at telling us, again, summing up this card, like, what can we learn? Like, this was really cool, but what'll we learn out of this that will drive us forward in our current incarnation? So, guides and past selves and future selves of group number 1, could you please give me one final message about group number 1's, I'm not sure which card, so one more time, about group number 1's past life, this one. Okay, thank you. Ooh, so the card you guys got is card 31, Upgrades, Light Body Spectra. This card has a lot to do with our chakras. But I'm going to read it to you out of the book. So, here we go. Right there. Hi, group number 1's. So, when I was originally filming your pile, I had a lot of trouble reading this card. So, I'm just going to reread it for you guys so that it's a little bit more clear for you guys. Yeah, that's all. So, here we go. The card that you guys got is card number 31. This card is called Upgrades. Card 31, Upgrades. Your soul is initiating an integration process of the spectra system of your light body. As you shift into a higher dimensional frequency of light, you are receiving a new brain in the nucleus of each cell of your body. Your cells are receiving a new intelligence. Your DNA is upgrading. And as each cell advances and integrates the new tendrils of light, your body will have a heightened capacity to self-heal. These brilliant divine light codes carry upgraded levels of healing, intuition, psychic energies, and extrasensory perceptions, including an inner dialogue to monitor and direct specific quotients of energetic ascension within your own light body. The oracle interpretation of this card when received in a reading is: Your chakras are merging with one another, and this blending process is causing many shifts and changes. You are being realigned with a light matrix, so take extra tender, loving care of your body. Get all abundance of rest. Hydrate with healing fluids and nourishment, and allow both subtle and acute energetic shifts to be experienced. Love yourself completely through this process and have patience with your progression. Focus on grounding and breathing exercises to help you feel more peaceful and calm. Resistance to the integration process will only bring more challenges. And here's some things to help you with this realignment. Body-focused meditation, rest and relaxation, yoga and stretching, minerals, the colors of ultraviolet pink and rainbow, as well as the essential oils of tulip and hibiscus. So, back to past me to sign you guys off. Basically, this life gave you a bunch of upgrades and you're still upgrading. And your guides are like, hey, so be nice to yourself. This life taught us that we're awesome. So continue that thought and take care of yourself, is basically what I'm seeing here. Okay? All right. So that's all I'm seeing for you guys, group number ones. Please like, comment, and subscribe. You guys have been like really helping me out in that area. A lot of people have been viewing my videos recently, and that makes me so happy. So keep watching, and please like whenever you do like the video. I hope you guys have a blessed everything, and I will see you at our next reading. This was Pan. Bye, you guys.